about the current state of college
Yeah,
of college recruiting. So if you wouldn't just go ahead and introduce yourself for those that don't know. But tell me a little bit about yourself, your program, because I've known you. We've been talking since 2014. So
long time.
it has been a long time.
One quick clarification. I'm in my 10th year here at Asbury, but I've been coaching, over 20 years, in college and high school baseball. But I'm originally from Southern California, out in the Orange County area, Whittier, La Mirada. Baseball has kind of brought me east, over the years. But we absolutely love it here. We're based right outside of Lexington, Kentucky, which is the home of the University of Kentucky here. So it's the second largest city, but we're in horse farm country. So, bourbon, horses, tobacco.
That's right.
Beautiful horse farms is kind of where we're at. So it's just a beautiful area to be in. But, at high school, I had the opportunity to go play at Oklahoma State University and was there for 3 years. And then, a long time ago, and then I transferred to the University of Kentucky. So that's my connection here to this part of the country. And then from UK, I signed with the Mariners and was in the Seattle Mariner organization for 3 years, and then transitioned to coaching at that level, and then started family and kind of settled down. And then, we settled back in Oklahoma, where my wife's from. And then my son, who now, is taller than
Jacob.
me.
Jacob.
Yeah,
He's got a great name, I have to tell you. I know I'm a little bit biased about that Jacob name, but you picked right. you and Jamie picked right on that name.
That's right. Yeah. And he's referred to Jake as well, or Big Jake. He's about 6'6", a big kid. So he actually was really the reason that got me back into baseball. As he was growing up, starting to play ball, people would ask me, "Hey, will you help my kid?" and this and that. And then, one thing led to another, got connected to high school. And then one thing led to another, got, an opportunity to get into college baseball. And now, full circle, back from where I played at the University of Kentucky. Now I'm in my 10th year here as the head coach here at Asbury University.
So I was saying year number 11 because I know you're going to be there at least another year because you guys have had a lot of success.
Yeah.
And I know your faith is a big part of what you do. Obviously, Asbury is in the NCAA. And I think that's obviously a really big selling point for a lot of parents. And that kind of leads to my first question is, what is the state of recruiting currently, and how do certain programs like Asbury market and sell their program to parents and high school athletes, especially knowing it's a Christian university that obviously has to help with a lot of your recruiting and the families that you talk to?
Right. Yeah, no, that's a big question, loaded question. I really, man, I think it's, services like yours, I think, are just a needed resource because it is messy. It is like, sausage sure tastes good, but the making of it is messy. And that's just kind of where the recruiting landscape is with, transfer portal, and you got all these various, summer club teams and kids bouncing around. And, the transfer portal has really impacted us, at the college level. But I think it started way, way back, when culturally, kids started bouncing around on different club teams, right? They play on one club team and they decided to move on to a different club team. And so it is, I think the challenge with families that have a prospective son or daughter coming through is getting connected with someone that they can trust and that's really going to shoot straight with them as far as, there's all these different levels of post-high school to play in, right? So, in the NCAA, we have, obviously the Division I, the big Texas A&M, but then you've got different tiers. You've got Division I, you've got Division II, you've got Division III, which is what we're a part of, more of a small college atmosphere.
Right.
But then you've got junior colleges, you've got post-grad programs. And I think it's, it's really a challenge because obviously everybody sees Omaha and everybody is drawn to, the big schools like a Baylor, like a TCU, like an Oklahoma State. But there are also a lot of great opportunities at different institutions, different sides. And I think the key in all this, whether you're using a recruiting service like yours, you're dealing with college coaches, high school coaches, club coaches, is just surrounding yourself with people that you can trust that are going to shoot straight as far as where your son or daughter are as far as their level of play. It's very, very hard, especially in today's culture, to be that coming out of high school, to be at the D1 level because of the transfer portal, right? I mean, guys and gals are bouncing around from different.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because people think that they have an understanding, but I think those like yourself that have the best understanding of the impacts of the transfer portal are going to be college coaches like you. So tell us some of your thoughts on the transfer portal and why sometimes it is currently being, I would say, for lack of a better term, misunderstood.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where it's not going anywhere. You kind of have to learn to kind of work within the system. So even as a small college, we're kind of trying to figure out how do we work with this thing. So to give you an example, I pulled up a report today. We're kind of experimenting. We're pretty much done with our 24 class. So we're experimenting with hey, can we pick up maybe a 24 pitcher from a different college that is maybe looking for a change? Well, right now, without the Power 5 conferences, in just baseball, there are over 5,000 kids in the transfer portal. Not all those kids are going to find homes,
right,
as far as landing spots. So I think I just wonder, did all those 5,000 kids, wherever they're at, different schools, did they get the best advice to land where they're at right now? And sometimes it's more than just the sport, more than just baseball. Sometimes it's not a fit academically. Sometimes it's not a fit culturally, as far as the campus lifestyle and all that stuff. So for whatever reason, we've got over 5,000 kids that are not, this is not even counting the Power 5 schools, the conferences that are looking for other homes. Plus, you've got all these 24 high school kids that are coming out looking, some of them looking to play after high school. So there's definitely, more supply than demand.
Right.
So I think what it's causing, it's kind of causing a push down effect in that where we're able now maybe, to attract someone that maybe prior to this whole transfer portal process could have played maybe at a smaller D1 or, mid-major D1 or D2, just because of supply and demand. And now we're looking at, I don't really want to go across the country. So maybe I go to a different level, be a bigger fish in a smaller pond, and go to a smaller school. So I think that's why it's so critical that families and kids are really open to getting different opinions, right? You don't want to just base just one opinion, but where does my son or daughter, slot in? Are they truly a D1 level type student athlete, or should we consider maybe a medium-sized school or smaller school? And sometimes it's not only talent level, sometimes it's personality fit, sometimes it is the college experience that a student wants, the proximity to home.
Well, we're human. Yeah,
right.
There's a human element to all of this, and as we know, loyalty is harder to find. And so when you have players like you're talking about that are willing to transfer just if they experience some adversity, it creates a logjam in the system. So if I hear you, and I obviously see it at LPG as well, the mistakes by the adults are costing the kids.
I think so, because I think that is the back end result of it. But I think on the front end, if you can address, a lot of this, as far as getting the advice, talking to coaches, what does your roster look like coming into that class? If you've got a program where they're bringing in 80, 90 kids, well, I mean, you
Right.
you play baseball for a long time. I mean, there's no way a team is going to be able to support that. So typically what happens is teams that recruit in high numbers like that are releasing guys at the end of the fall semester, right?
Right.
They're turning over their rosters. So nothing wrong with that. I mean, nothing as far as like if you want to be in a competitive environment, but it's one thing knowing ahead of time than landing on the campus and finding out, oh my gosh, there's 10 other shortstops here.
Sure. Okay. So let's go to rosters. Let's go to advice, and let's go to misconceptions, because a lot of parents and a lot of prospects are looking online at current rosters, and they're trying to calculate how many scholarships coaches like you have left. And I think this is also a pitfall where they'll try to look on the transfer portal, or they'll try to look on the rosters of the colleges to try to calculate how many positions are filled, or how many, for instance, using your example, shortstops are left. And I think that the college recruiting process is changing, and scholarship opportunities are changing, that you're using old data a lot of the time when you're looking at certain things on the internet. And so speak to that a little bit for me, parents and prospects that think that they know how many scholarships you have left without ever even talking to you.
Yeah, I think the reality, Jake, I think for families, researching this, looking into schools, all that. I mean, and it's okay. I think if I had, Jacob was coming up through the recruiting process now, we would reach out to different levels of schools. We would reach out to the small college, to the medium-sized schools, if he's talented enough at the D1 schools, and just see kind of gauge the interest level. But I think the reality is, and I could be wrong here, but I truly believe, even at a school like an Asbury, small college, everybody is on a 1-year deal. Right. Everybody. So this fallacy that, hey, I'm gonna decide on this school and it's kind of a 4-year deal and all that stuff.
Right.
It's just not. I mean, it maybe in the day it was, and I kind of like that, right? Like for a coach, like, hey, Johnny's coming to play here.
You're going to keep him. You're going to most likely keep him.
I know for sure he's going to be here 4 years. There's no guarantees, because one of the things I comment to my coaches, my staff, and honestly, part of myself and to our players, is at the end of every season, you need to reevaluate, and is this the right fit for you?
Sure. Sure.
And to move forward, in every way, on the field, on as far as what you're studying, your social life, what you're enjoying. And I think it's a recommitment every year. So when people ask, well, you've got 10 seniors that are going to finish, it's not just like, hey, we're going to go find 10 more to come in. It's every year.
Right.
You don't really know. And we've had kids decide, like we had a returning outfielder that was going to be a senior this year, that didn't return, not for a bad reason, but for good reasons. He had landed a job. He finished early school.
Right.
So he would have gone to grad school. He landed a job. He got engaged. Life happened. They're planning a wedding. He's got this fantastic investment job in Cincinnati. And it was like, hey, this baseball chapter is closed for me. And coach, I love it. I love my teammates and all that, but I'm ready to start this new chapter. Well, he was a kid that I thought was going to return, as a senior. So, every year you think, like, hey, I think this is the group that's going to come back, that we have, but there are no guarantees, whether they choose to or not. Sure. So it's made it very difficult. And I think you're seeing this across sports with different coaches, that literally you're re-recruiting your roster every single year, whether it's the Power 5 D1, the University of Kansas basketball team, Coach Self, or a small college like where we're at here at Asbury. In a way, you're retaining the roster that you have, and then basically looking at the depth of your roster and going, okay, hey, I need to bring in 10, 12, we average probably about 12 to 15 kids a year that we'll bring in and find, now positionally going, okay, hey, we need so many pitchers, so many catchers, middle infielders, and center field. But it's tricky. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It is tricky. I mean, we don't have a JV team. We only have a single team. Our roster is plus or minus, 40 guys this year. We're a little bit heavy. We're at 45. But I've also got a couple guys right now that are down. Like if we're going to open up this weekend, they're not available, Right. And so
in addition to being a mathematician, or in addition to being a coach, you got to be a mathematician, right? There's a lot more that goes into the job than what people know at the middle school, high school, and even at the college level. There's so much that you guys have to do.
For sure. And one of those, a lot of different roles, but added to that would be psychologists, right?
Yeah.
Because you're
right.
Right. Trying to understand, where guys are at, what they want, you're trying to balance playing time, you're prioritizing trying to stay competitive, all these different factors. And one of the challenges is, our philosophy is best guys play. If you come in as a freshman and you're the best option at a given position, we want to win, you're going to play. Right. But over the years, I mean, I think you'll appreciate this. There's a big difference from a first year freshman guy than a guy that's been in the program 3 or 4 years, where physically, emotionally, they've developed. Well, culturally, a lot of kids that, if they don't play that first year, they're not used to that because they've kind of grown up going to different club teams. And if they don't play on this club team, they're bouncing another club team. And so one of the challenges is, hey, be patient. Let's continue to develop. Let's continue to get stronger. You're going to get your time. Are you willing to stay at a program that, cares about you, that is investing in you and developing you, even though you may not be starting every game that first year? And that's becoming a bigger challenge. And I think that's a lot of it as far as what you're seeing in the transfer portal. I'm seeing kids in the transfer portal that have only been at the institution that they were at for a semester. And they're already locked into the transfer portal.
Which interestingly makes it seemingly more difficult for them to be recruited, as opposed to competing for a spot, competing for a job. I mean, I can understand if it's the wrong fit, or something happens with a scholarship, or the coaches aren't going to bring you back. But obviously, with freshmen coming in, competing against juniors, seniors, and fifth-year guys, just because you're not starting as soon as you step foot on campus, that should not necessarily be an expectation. But you shouldn't sell yourself short as a prospect, because most coaches have your mentality, which is the best will play. Yeah.
Well, and it's a tough thing because culturally, right? We live in a microwave culture. We want it now. We don't want to wait. We don't want to invest the work and the dedication and all those good traits. We kind of want to short circuit the process a little bit. So we're very, very upfront with our prospective guys of what to expect, and as best we can to minimize surprises, and so we ask them, hey, if you come and you're going to have every opportunity to win playing time, but if you don't your first year, how do you think you'll respond? I mean, are you willing to, stay committed in the weight room and continue to develop and all that?
Right.
And so as best I can, I'm trying to read body language. I'm trying to get a feel from mom and dad, how they do things and all that. And so I think by having those tough conversations on the front end, not that we've got it all figured out, but it really has minimized, our turnover on the backside. It's very, very few guys, like our senior class this year. I mean, I think it's 14 or 15 guys, but it's all about expectations. It's all about on the front end and being honest, being as truthful as you can and all that. And so that's why, going back to, what's the reputation of the baseball program? What's the reputation of that coach? Asking hard questions, all those things to, as best you can, trying to make the best decision, because I always tell families, You have to make the best decision for yourself. We have to make the best decision for our program. And if we get thumbs up from both on both parties, man, you're going to have an incredible experience here.
Right. And you've touched on, and this is the last thing I want to touch on with you. You touched on that advice. And I know that with the recruiting landscape changing, I know I'm a little bit biased as a recruiting advisor, but speak a little bit to how it has changed, especially in the way of club teams and now how prospects can actually be recruited online using the internet and trusted sources. I know that more coaches are working with more recruiting advisors than ever.
Yeah. I think one of the drawbacks, at least from my perspective, it has become much more transactional, as far as, and I think
for the club teams is in preparation.
Yeah. And just the whole recruiting process, right?
Right.
It's just a transaction, right? Where I think if all parties are doing it right, I don't know if this is the best word, but it has to be more relational. I always talk to
human, more human.
Yeah, I mean, I always talk to
Right.
They'll come, they'll look at our facilities, they'll look at our field. They're like, wow, this is really nice. This is not what I expected. And, I thought it was, smaller school. But I always tell them, I'm like, your decision to come here has to be bigger than the sport. It has to be more than just bats and balls. You have to consider what you're interested in studying, the college environment, the location. For us, the faith component, being a Christian university, and all those things. If those are the things that you want, we kind of tease tongue in cheek, around here it's God's school ball, and
right. And that's shouldn't that be how it is everywhere, right?
It should be.
Our faith comes first, our academics come second, and then our sport comes in, because if we take care of the first two, then we're going to have a much better chance of being successful with the third one, which is our sport.
That's right. So Jamie, coincidentally, we're celebrating our 31st wedding anniversary today.
Wow. Congratulations.
So she would tell you, she'd be the first one to tell you that I'm pretty selfish. And I would raise my hand. I'm guilty. I admit I'm pretty selfish.
You're motivated. You're focused. You're disciplined.
Well, no, I would say no. I mean, she's on point. I'm selfish because for our guys, and I think most coaches that are wanting to do right by their kids and their program want it all. They want it all. They want to develop good character kids, whether it's a religious or non-religious school. They want to develop good people, right?
Good people that are
going to go on and do things outside of their sport, right? A lot of them are going to go into business or law or medicine or teach or whatever. So we all want that character. We all want, hey, if you come to a university, a 4-year school, you got to finish. You got to finish whatever you decide you want to study.
Right.
And then you want to play ball. And I think what my point about being selfish is you don't have to choose. You can do it all. You can be a great citizen at a school. You can get your education, use that school. They're using you to hit a volleyball or shoot a basketball or hit a baseball, whatever, to represent that school. And so you can use them for your education, and you can play ball or, have a great experience and just develop a lot of great relationships. So to me, it's a whole, and we're at the Division III level, which is more of looking at a complete student athlete.
You have to look at the whole student, the whole package.
The whole package. And I think if families are willing to consider the whole package above and beyond just their given sport, I think more times than not, it's gonna lead for them to make the best decision for their son or daughter.
Well, and this is what we need more of, Coach. We need more people to speak truth to the process. We need more good coaches out there like you. We need programs like Asbury to keep growing, and for people around the country and prospects around the country to know that there are opportunities at the D1, D2, D3, NAIA, and JUCO level. And there are so many programs out there that you probably don't even know about that could potentially be great fits. And so I think we need to keep doing that, speaking truth on the recruiting process. And you know what? I know we keep in touch, and we have since 2014. I think that's as far as my messages go back with you. We need to do this. We need to do this again. We need to do this again. And you know, I always enjoy talking with you, and I really appreciate it. And I hope a lot of people get some great recruiting knowledge out of this, but also to get to know you better as a coach and a person. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Anytime, Jake. I appreciate the opportunity. Wish you well. And anytime I can be of help, just let me know.
All right. Thanks, Coach. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.